Hello and welcome to another Tunisian crochet tutorial. In this tutorial I'm going to show you the colorwork, strand colorwork technique which I used for the Knit and Nutter Tunisian blanket call 2022. So for this project I used 8mm Tunisian crochet hook with a short cable, and I used 3 different colors of knit picks, wool of the Andes, superwash merino wool. This is worsted weight yarn, and I used colors avocado, grass and oyster heather. This square measures approximately 12 by 12 inches. So what I'm going to do now, I will not show you exactly row by row the whole pattern. We will start the project together. I will do a short repeat, not the full repeat, and I will show you the basic technique, the stranded colorwork technique, so you'll be able to make the full square following the pattern on my blog, and the pattern will be also published in the PDF version for free on my Lovecraft shop. So without further ado, let's get right into it. You start the project with a slip knot, as you would for majority of your Tunisian crochet projects, and we will be chaining. This project is worked in multiples of 6, and then we have 3 stitches on each side to form a border. For this small swatch I'm going to create, I'm going to chain 18. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 and 18. And then for the first row of Tunisian crochet we'll be working into the back bumps of your chain stitches. We insert the hook from front to back, yarn over and pull up a loop, and we have 2 loops on the hook, and we will repeat this all the way to the beginning of our chain. Okay, so once we worked into all the back bumps of our chain stitches, we will work a standard return pass for Tunisian crochet. It's we yarn over and pull through 1 loop. This is also called as yarn over or chain 1, and then we yarn over and pull through 2 loops, and we repeat this to do all the way to the beginning of our project. So this is row 1, or also known as foundation row. Okay, once we are back at the beginning of our project, we will then work 2 rows of Tunisian simple stitch. Tunisian simple stitch is worked as we insert the hook from right to left under the front vertical bar. We yarn over and pull up a loop. And that's Tunisian simple stitch. So we will work Tunisian simple stitch into each stitch in the row below, all the way to the last stitch. So once we get to the end, we will work end stitch. So end stitch is worked into, or under rather, both of the strands of the last stitch. So there is, if you turn your work towards yourself, you will see that there are two strands, one on the right and one on the left, and you will work the end stitch under both of these strands. You yarn over and pull up a loop, and this creates a nice neat edge on this side of the project. So this is forward pass for row number 2, and we will again work standard return pass. Okay, so this was row number 2, and row number 3 is repetition of row number 2. So again, we work Tunisian simple stitch into each stitch all the way to the end of your project, and then we work one edge stitch, and this is followed by standard return pass. Right, so we are almost at the end now. Work edge stitch and standard return pass. We then start working row number 4, and row number 4 is the row where we start with our color work, stranded color work. Okay, so now the row number 4 first starts with 2 Tunisian simple stitches in one color, or the color which is your main color, and then we will be working the triangles chart. The triangles chart can be found again on my blog or in the pattern which is published in my Lovecraft shop. So the first row of your color work chart, or IA, that's color work chart triangles A, instructs us to work 5 Tunisian simple stitches in the main color. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then we will be changing to our complementary color. So what I like to do is I like to create a loop in my hand with a complementary color, place it on the hook, pull through, and then when I turn my work to the other side, I like to take the long strand of the second color and wrap it around the other 2 strands, and this secures the color in place. So the chart instructs us to work 1 stitch in the complementary color, and then we are going back to working 5 stitches in our main color. So again, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and 1 stitch in our complementary color. And now you will see that we will be carrying over the complementary color through the 5 stitches, creating a float. Okay, Okay, so I'm going to work one stitch in my complementary color. So I worked one stitch. So the front looks neat. When you turn your work on the other side, you will see that there is this long float. Now the floats are not an issue on projects where there isn't a chance to get caught on this float. For example, if you make a pillowcase with stranded colorwork, you know that you are going to sew this part of the project on the inside, so that's not an issue. But for something like a blanket, which is used by people and oftentimes by little people, this can be an issue because their little fingers can get caught on this. So I will show you on the next row how to deal with these floats. The beauty of it is that you will deal with the floats on the consecutive row. So as you can see, this was forward pass and there is one float. When we do the return pass for this particular row, row number 4, there will be another float of the same color because you will going back to the beginning of your project. So I've done 2 repeats of my color work here, and I'm getting to the end of the project, or to the border which I created or designed for this project, and this will be 2 Tunisian simple stitches in the main color and end stitch. And now we are going to be working our return pass. So we chain 1, yarn over, pull through 2, and we need to now change color to the complementary color. So you change color to the other color when the second stitch from your hook is the color that you want to use. Okay, so I've got main color, complementary color is the second stitch from the hook. So now I will need to work a return pass for 1 stitch with the complementary color, then I again change to main color and go backwards, coming to another stitch in the complementary color. So what we need to do now, you need to tension your yarn in a way that you carry over the yarn through the stitches on your return pass, but this float that you are creating, you need to make the stitch in a way that the float is not too loose and it's not too tight, pulling your work. So if you make the return pass too tight, you can see that it puckers your project and it's going to look very messy and uneven. And then if you leave the float too big, it also looks a bit messy, and even if you trap it on your next row, it would still cause trouble. So you need to kind of adjust the tension of the float in a way that it's tight, it's taut but not too tight. Okay, and now we are working, the rest of our return pass is in our main color. So this was row 4 of your triangle square, or the first row of your colorwork chart triangles A. Now we are going to continue with this row number 5, or second row of your triangles A. First we need to work 2 Tunisian simple stitches in the main color, and then as per chart there are 4 stitches in the main color, 4 Tunisian simple stitches in the main color. That's 1, 2, 3 and 4. Now we will pick up our complementary color. Again, we want to adjust the tension for the stitch below in a way that it's not going to pucker our work, and then we work 2 stitches in the complementary color. The first stitch that we work in the complementary color in the row below, as you can see, it is attached to the short end. So just to make the stitches nice and even, you can gently pull on it, but not too tight that it would squash your rows together. You just want to make sure that the stitches look nice and even. Okay, so we worked 2 stitches in the complementary color. Now we will pick up our main color and and this is where we are going to be trapping our floats. So as you can see, we've got the 2 floats for the complementary color in the previous row, because we needed to carry the color over 5 stitches. So there are 2 floats, one for forward, one for return pass, and we need to work 4 stitches in our main color. So what I like to do, I like to always start just with 1 stitch in the main color, and then we are going to be trapping the floats. So you insert the hook as for Tunisian simple stitch, but you also place the hook under the loose strands, you yarn over and pull up a loop. So the first step is to go under the loose floats with your hook. So you go under both of them, yarn over, pull up a loop, and now we will work another Tunisian simple stitch, but we will go over the floats. Okay, so I'm going over the floats, yarn over and pull up a loop. And as you can see, to work the stitches in this way, it traps both of the loose floats and the main color yarn. Okay, so we can repeat it again with the first step, because we already have 3 stitches in the main color, so we only need 1 more. So what we do, we go as if creating Tunisian simple stitch under both strands, yarn over, pull up a loop, and now we need to pick up our complementary color, work Tunisian simple stitch into 2 stitches, pick up our main color, and work the border part of our project, which is 2 Tunisian simple stitches and end stitch or edge stitch in the main color. Okay, so we can have a look at the wrong side of our project after the forward pass of row 5. So as you can see, the loose floats that you created in the previous row are now not loose anymore, they are trapped with the way we worked the stitches in the other color over and under them. Okay, but at the same time we created a new loose float because we carried the complementary color over 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches on this row. So this will be dealt with in the following row, in row number 6, and when we work the 3rd row of the colorwork chart. Okay, so just to complete the project, or complete this row rather, we will work return pass again. So what we need to do, we need to chain 1, yarn over, pull through 2 stitches. Once we come to the part where the 1st and 2nd stitches have different colors, we change the color. We work 2 return pass stitches in the complementary color and change to main color again. Work 4 stitches in the main color, change to your complementary color, work 2 stitches in the complementary color, and the rest of the row is in your main color. Okay, and this is the principle that you will use for the whole project, and you will trap the loose floats every 2-3 stitches. So it's not a prescribed interval as to how often you need to trap them. It is really down to you as to how long or how short you would like to have the floats after you trap them. So if you are happy with the loose floats as they are here, about this length here when we trap them, then you can do it every 2 to 3 stitches rather than 3. If you want the color work or the loose floats trapped completely so they don't, there's no chance that someone will get caught on them, then you can do it every 2 stitches. Okay, you will follow you will use this principle for the rest of your project. So thank you very much for your attention and for watching my tutorial. I hope you found it useful. As I mentioned before, this project is part of Knit and Knotter Tunisian blanket call for year 2022. I recommend you to check the links in the description box below to find out more about the call. This is a very exciting project where the design there is a group of designers who each designed one square, and we work on the project throughout the whole year, and you will have a beautiful blanket at the end, and you will really take your Tunisian crochet skills from beginner to advanced. Okay, thank you very much for watching again. If you found this tutorial helpful, please give it a thumbs up, share with your friends and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next tutorial. Bye bye.